Hello and welcome to Bags of Action. My name is Pete and this is a 5-minute Bags of Action review of Calm with Horses from 2019. Douglas Arm Armstrong has become the feared enforcer for the drug-dealing Devers family, while also trying to be a good father. Torn between these two families, Arm's loyalties are tested. Directed by Nick Rowland, who's also worked on TV series Hard Sun and Ripper Street, it was adapted from the short story by Colin Barrett, and the screenplay was written by Joe Murtaugh, who's done lots of shorts, additional writing on the film American Animals, and has also worked on TV shows Origin and most recently Gangs of London. Now, the director and writer are teaming back up after doing a well-received short called Group B when they were at film school. So who's in the cast of this movie? Cosmo Jarvis plays Arm. He's been in Raised by Wolves, Peaky Blinders, and films like Hunter Killer and Annihilation. Barry Keoghan, who I've seen in Chernobyl, was also in American Animals and Dunkirk. Niamh Algar, also in Raised by Wolves and The Virtues, mostly worked in TV thus far. Liam Carney is in this film from Outlander and Ripper Street, and years ago in films like The Boxer, The Commitment and Braveheart. David Wilmot is in this from TV shows like Letter for the King and Ripper Street, but has also been in films like Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, and other Irish movies like Cavalry and The Guard. Ned Dennehy is also in this from Outlander and Peaky Blinders and Good Omens, and he's been in films like Guns Akimbo and the Nicolas Cage starrer Mandy. And Anthony Welsh is in this. On TV, he's been in the Hannah series, but also in films Journeyman and The Girl with All the Gifts. And this is the debut film for 5-year-old Keoghan Maroney, who plays Jack, the son of the lead character. So, let's get down to business. What is Calm with Horses like? So, after seeing the trailer, I thought I knew what to expect from this rural Irish crime drama. I kind of had almost worked out the beats in my head. But I'm pleased to say this film never quite went where I expected it to, and it was all the better for it. Every time I thought it would go one way, it went a different way instead. Now, I only recognise one or two of the actors in this film, which really helped. I think of late, I've been finding myself drawn to kind of foreign language TV and films or more indie fare because it removes the baggage of recognising the actors or seeing them in lots of other things. You can immerse yourself as a viewer much more into the story when you kind of don't recognise that many of the cast, I think. So this film is very well shot, which instantly elevates it and puts it alongside some of the best indie films of recent years. Couple that with the writing and the performances, and you have something very special on your hands. I'm going to say very little about this, what actually happens in this film, and I cut the synopsis shorter than what you'd find on IMDb because I think this film is best watched with very little knowledge of where it's going. That really helps. But let's think about it, Tony. Let's think about it, what the viewing experience is like. Now, if you've seen a film like Inglourious Bastards, imagine the opening scene at the table and how tense that is. Or maybe think of the closing sequence in the desert in Seven and how that made you feel. Well, this film, imagine that level of edge-of-your-seat tension, but constant for an hour and 40 minutes. The ever-present threat of violence is palpable, and my heart rate stayed accelerated from the first few moments to the final credits. Now, it reminds me a little bit of Dead Man's Shoes, but without the improvisation and black comedy that film had, and this favours even grittier realism instead. Now, when Calm with Horses is violent, it's very violent, but it never glorifies violent acts. It's not an easy watch, but it's uncomfortable, but it's also thought-provoking too. Now, when I saw Spring, I knew I'd watch anything that Benson and Moorhead were involved with from then on. When I saw In Bruges, I knew I'd follow Martin McDonagh's career from then on. And it's no underestimation to me to say that I'm going to do the same here. I will follow Rowland and Murtaugh, particularly if they work together, because this film was that good. I'll also be looking out for the three main actors too, because they, along with the boy who plays the son, they deliver performances that are really impressive, realistic and hauntingly believable. So while watching this movie, I was thinking it was a 4. I was thinking I was going to give it a 4 score. But then I spent a couple of days going over it in my head and thinking about it ever since. And that's a rare thing. The couple of films I mentioned earlier are the kind of films that stayed with me for days. And this is the first time in quite some time that a film has just kind of sat with me and I've kind of replayed scenes and relived the emotions. So I'm going to give Calm with Horses 5 bags of action out of 5. Have you seen Calm with Horses? Do you agree with my assessment of it? Feel free to comment below or get in touch with us via email, Facebook or on Twitter. We have new episodes coming out weekly alongside our full-length podcast. Don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to get notifications of all our content. Bags of Action will always be free, but if you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do that at our Ko-fi page.